Stuart, compliancy, always a big thing. Data compliancy, legal sometimes. Do companies need to be aware of this before their migration to cloud?
It can actually add a layer of complexity, but it also comes into picking the best cloud provider relevant to your business. Certain financial organizations, for example, can only hold customer data within the confines of their own country. For example, you couldn't go into some of the larger public cloud providers where there's no definition of where that data is going to sit. It may end up in a data center in Germany, which is non-compliant if you're operating from the UK. So, again, it's down to showing an organization where the risk points are around compliance, because compliance has become, if you failure to comply, has become very expensive. Governments and regulatory bodies are now very keen to open the fine book and say you need to pay us 4%, up to 4% of your worldwide turnover, etc. But what it also does, it provides an opportunity for the business, from our perspective, to help manage them, but also put them in a compliance environment, particularly around customer data and financial transactions. I mentioned earlier, it can actually be quite expensive for you as a small business to be able to look after that customer data in a compliant way. But if we can put you into a PCI compliant environment that already exists, that meets all the regulatory requirements, and you're just paying for that as a service, then that gives you much more flexibility as an organization. And I think back to one of my past customers that was a very small app-based credit card provider, and they were invite only to start with, and they had about 1,000 users. They approached a large financial organization that had over 600,000 subscribers, basically credit card users, and they took on the management of all those users virtually overnight. But because their infrastructure was based in a public cloud environment, they were able to scale up quickly. They knew that the environment was compliant, so therefore their contract with the financial organization was very easy to negotiate and to be confident that all their customer data was going to be, again, in a secure environment. So, it's down to the consultancy approach again, but also it can actually deliver a business advantage to a small business that may need to scale or doesn't really want a compliance officer or have to make everything secure within their data center.
Stuart, I have my new cloud environment. It's all ready to go. How do I then manage it and develop it?
Yeah, I guess I touched on this earlier. If you have a large IT organization and have the skills in-house, there's nothing stopping you doing that. A lot of the solutions we provide will provide you with management capability and statistics, the ability via a portal to look at your different environments. So actually, although you may have your own data center, you may have some areas of public cloud where your infrastructure is sitting, you will have a single management tool that will allow you to manage those environments internally. It may be, and has often been the case, sadly, over the last 12 to 18 months, a lot of people have trimmed down their IT organization. It may be that you don't have the requisite skills or don't want to carry the cost of a dedicated manager for that business. So, from Bell's perspective, we would offer a cloud managed services offering to our organization, to our customers, that we can manage the entire environment and then report to you as and when required.
Why should people consider Bell Cloud Services?
Key benefits. First and foremost, people are always talking about money. So, up to a 30% reduction in operational cost. Second piece, particularly at the moment, cash is king. People do not really want to be outlaying large amounts of cash. So we're looking at an operational expenditure model rather than a capital expenditure model. You've got much more flexibility for collaboration of workloads and productivity for workforces that are increasingly going to be working from home. Spoke about it earlier, but reduced time to market, the ability to react, say your app takes off or you suddenly buy another organization or you take on new companies. The ability to adapt to that quickly, efficiently and compliantly is a big one. In the main, you're going to be in a more reliable environment, so improved uptime, reliability. These large cloud providers have to maintain a certain level, of investment within the infrastructure. That means that your service levels are going to be probably in excess of what your existing managed service levels would be. Help you to drive innovation. Talked about the ability to look at developing, particularly in the application development environment. You can spin up an environment, work in that environment, create your new application, then switch it off again. So it's consumption-based model, pay as you play. Don't always have to invest in a large internal environment if you develop new applications or business ventures. Improve security for the business. We spoke about that earlier around security and compliance. But if I'm going to wear my Bell hat firmly on my head, which I have to, we as an organisation have got extensive experience in doing this. We've got huge corporate organisations that we've worked with. I mentioned before, large international telecommunications providers. We've also got small businesses, so we understand the difference between the two. We understand what actually impacts on the different styles of business. And I'm afraid to use a cliche to finish off my pitch with a small p, is that we're a very safe pair of hands and we'll work with your business.
Thank you, Stuart. And that was Mr. Stuart Jordan from Bell Integration. And we were talking about cloud technology and companies' journeys towards the cloud. Thank you for joining us here at Bell Integration Studios. I hope to see you again. But until next time, I'll see you soon.